Good afternoon, welcome to Satyajit Creations. Today we have joined with Elephant Family Organization and we are here to talk about the campaign they have organized. And here, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
I will let Ruth go first. Ruth Ganesh.
Yes, I'm Ruth Ganesh and I'm a trustee of Elephant Family and the British Asian Trust.
Alright, and what about you?
My name is Isabel Milligan and I am the manager of all communications for Elephant Family.
Alright, could you please tell us about your organization?
Absolutely. So Elephant Family is a wildlife conservation charity originally set up by the brother of the Duchess of Cornwall, who has become our joint royal president. Originally set up to help with conservation of wild elephants in India. And now we have expanded our remit to help with conservation of all Asian wildlife. Our flagship projects are run by the most incredible people and some of them have won awards. Dr. Sanjay Gubby, as an example, is a Whitley Award winner, which is kind of like a Green Oscars award for his work expanding protected areas, closing down busy highways which cut through elephant habitat, and generally creating larger landscapes which are safer for elephants and the other wildlife that share their habitat to roam through without being harmed by humans.
Alright, and actually I can see some of the elephants you have in the background. So what's the purpose of this campaign?
I love your question. So this campaign's purpose is to spread a really inspirational message about how people in India, these elephants are all based on Indian elephants, are managing, even though it's quite difficult, to coexist with a very challenging animal, the elephant, and actually still, despite having lots and lots of humans in these landscapes, they're still managing to let elephants live and breed and successfully sort of exist in human landscapes. And what we're trying to do is say, look, if in India you have so many people per square kilometre, but you still have the biggest population of tigers, the biggest population of Asian elephants, so many leopards, then why is it in the UK we are struggling to look after really little animals, like hedgehogs? We're trying to reintroduce some of our wildlife back, and that's very controversial in some circles. So we really see India and the attitude actually in the East, just generally towards wildlife, as one that the West has something to learn from. So we are wanting to spread an inspirational message, as well as, of course, all the money that we raise from the sale of these incredibly beautiful elephants going into conservation projects, which are all to do with how people and animals live together successfully.
Yes, and elephant and human conflict has become a really big environmental crisis in all the Asian countries. So are you going to do something about that, in your organization? Are they looking into this matter? Do you have any plans or any ideas about this matter, how you address this issue?
Yes, I mean, Izzy, I would love you to talk about Anand Kumar, but I think just generally the answer to that question is that yes, although I don't know, coexistence and human wildlife conflict is a big conservation issue, of course.
Yes.
And yes, we've got various different projects which have various different methods to help easing it. But I don't know if we would say that it's a screaming crisis. I think our message is that it's possible. So, but I would think Izzy can explain why we think that, because I'm sure a lot of farmers don't think that.
We work very closely with a wonderful man called Dr. Anand Kumar, who works with a bit of technology that he has set up, and it helps local communities to coexist with elephants by providing them with early warnings if a herd of wild elephants is in the area. So if a herd of wild elephants moves into an area where there is a group of people farming in the forest, where they're living, they will receive a text message or a message via WhatsApp. And that alerts them to the fact that there are wild elephants in the area, and then they can prepare accordingly.
All right.
Get out of the elephant's way, or just sort of slightly alter their behaviour so that the conflict situation is avoided. And that means that the elephants can continue on their usual behaviour, they can carry on as normal, and so can the humans. And that just completely avoids all conflict situations, and it has successfully reduced deaths. I can't remember all of the numbers, but it's been a massive success, and Dr. Anand has been hugely recognised for his work in this area, so we're really proud of it.
Actually, that's a really great thing, you know, what he's doing. And as a Sri Lankan, I'm very aware of this crisis, and annually I think over 200 elephants are killed by humans because, you know, like the behavior, because elephant damage their crops, properties because of that. And I don't think we have this kind of, you know, technology or a method to, you know, tackle this, you know, crisis. So are you going to look into this matter? Because I'm pretty sure in other Asian countries also they've been facing the same crisis. So are you going to look into this matter, how to spread this technology into other Asian countries?
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone that's listening to this that knows about this issue knows that every single landscape it requires a very tailored set of solutions. So yes, however, we have to find the human beings that are willing to dedicate their lives to different landscapes, and really we need to grow this movement and this sort of army of people who are willing to do that, and also see that actually helping wildlife is actually the most noble career that you could have, and it's the highest status career that you can have in 2021. And not just, you know, I think as different countries develop, you know, we've all in this country we've chased money, chased it, and now we've got no animals left. So now we work in conservation, and everyone says to you, "Oh, how wonderful you work in conservation!" But we can, you know, you can understand that every country's in a different place, and actually we just want to promote this idea that saving nature is the ultimate thing, because actually the biggest obstacle to rolling out someone like Anand Kumar's project everywhere is that the world needs 1,000 Anand Kumars, and 1,000 Anand Kumars don't exist.
I believe the same.
So I think that's the biggest challenge, and it's a PR job that's needed, so thank you for doing a PR job.
Could you please tell us about how these elephants were made and the materials have been used to create these elephants?
Oh, it's such a beautiful story to explain how these elephants were made, because it was really the coming together of a husband and a wife. The husband, Taj, runs something called the Shola Trust in the Nilgiri Hills in southern India, and studies elephants, and in particular how human beings and elephants relate to each other. And his wife, Shubhra Nair, is, you know, one of India's top designers, and she created the models of each of the elephants that he studies. So they have an organization called the Real Elephant Collective that we have worked together with for 5 years. I always wanted to make a herd of elephants and put them in London that felt natural, but didn't know quite how, and we met each other, and they had all the solutions. They had the content on the elephants, and then they had the way to make them, and of course they've worked and lived with the indigenous communities in India, the Adivasi communities, for many years. So they worked with, I think it was about 70 of the indigenous communities in their area over the last 5 years to make these elephants, which again, like, it's lovely and layered. The elephants themselves are made from an invasive weed introduced by the British in their great wisdom as a decorative plant. You know, when the tea planters came in, they sort of decorated their bungalows, and it's a lovely flowering plant on a good day. But now lantana, which is what they're made out of, is it's an invasive weed, so a lot of the protected areas in India are really being choked by this plant. So Taj has studied it, and up to 40% of certain protected areas are completely overrun with lantana, which pushes wildlife out of the undergrowth onto the paths. So it's a very positive, sustainable way that they've been
Yes.
made, that you're taking it out and demonstrating that you can actually do something really, really good with it.
Yeah. And they have done a really great job, you know, while doing, you know, creating this elephant.
I think so. You can see, you know, that each of the elephants is based on a real elephant that their communities coexist with.
Yeah, I noticed that. I really did.
So there's a lot of individuality. I mean, there's so much individuality, which is something you never see these days.
Yeah,
so.
and they also, like, I think every single elephant has a name as well.
Yes, exactly. So I know some people say, oh, it's anthropomorphizing, but the reality is the only reason these elephants still exist in the wild is because the communities sort of know them and know their character, and it's very natural to give a name. So yeah.
And I think perhaps the most magical thing, or one of the most magical things about the exhibition, is that each herd carries a story of how elephants coexist with humans in the wild, and how there is so much amazing work going on to improve that situation. So we really encourage the public this summer to come down and engage with each of the herd stories and learn about what's going on to kind of improve the relationship between not only humans and elephants, but also the other wildlife that share their habitat as well.
Sharing space with the human race.
And that's a very interesting story, and thank you for sharing with us about your story.
Thank you
so much.